thing about happiness is you only know you had it when it's gone. You may think to yourself that you're happy, but you don't really believe it. It's only looking back that you really understand. That's what happiness felt like.
Yo, what's up, Vault Dwellers? Welcome back to the Wasteland. So this is going to be my first video of hopefully many videos for Fallout 76. I've been playing this game since beta. I have had to split my progress between Xbox and PC, mainly because I started on Xbox and I switched to PC and couldn't transfer my progress. But it's cool. I still love the game so much, and it was honestly a fun time replaying it in much better graphics and 144 FPS instead of whatever Xbox supports, I forget. Anyway, beside that, in today's video we're gonna jump into the Caps game, and I'm gonna teach you my ways of being hella freaking rich. That's all I gotta say. I run Aristocrats build, which requires me to have 30,000 caps on me at all times in order to receive, max damage on my weapon and max defense on my armors. So yeah, I kind of have to continuously make caps and stay on top of it. But honestly, lately the issue has been to keep myself below 40. It's a very hard line to keep yourself between 30 and 40 because I run a really good store, like my own personal vendor, so I constantly make caps, and oftentimes I find myself having those caps disappear because I've reached maxed and I forgot to check the shop off, and there's just a whole mess that, yeah, then I get frustrated about the fact that all these caps just went into thin air because I'm maxed out. It's disappointing, but nonetheless, I'm going to show y'all how to make quick caps with non-player vendors, things to do, things not to do, things to sell, things not to sell, because I see a lot of people selling things to vendors and kind of give me a heart attack. So yeah, and then I'm also gonna go into a small breakdown of how I run my store and my vendor and how I price everything, because I feel like I'm making ungodly amounts of caps on daily basis whenever I log in, that I feel like this needs to be shared so people will start practicing maybe using this, or I don't know, if it's not for you, it's not for you, but who doesn't want to make a shit ton of caps, right? All right, I don't know, grab a new Coca-Cola, let's dive into this. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to focus on is, of course, our specials and our builds. I carry 3 builds with me. The bottom one is my main, the middle one is where I practice things, and my top one is the crafting one. We're going to look at the crafting one because that's the one that has my hard bargain card, which is what we're looking for. Now, hard bargain card is going to give you a higher prices from vendors with each level. Of course, I max mine out so that way I get the maximum result. So I suggest doing the same. So make a build with that card before you approach any vendors, like non-player vendors, to get maximum amount of payout for whatever you're selling. Now let's actually talk about the things that we are going to be selling to these non-player vendors. So the first thing you're going to look at realistically is the overall amount of caps that you can get from the vendor. I think they reset every 24 hours, something like that. So I personally don't use grenades much, so I sell those as much as I can. They all have quite different prices and they're easy to get. Okay, second one is going to be your food. You can sell cooked food and raw meats, which both have pretty good value, and of course all the other things that you find. But I suggest selling the raw meats and cooked foods if you're not going to use them. And definitely take advantage of experience of cooking the raw meats and then selling them as cooked food, because I feel like you might get better prices for that, but either way you still get caps from killing stuff, so you can go hunting for easy caps. Now, one thing I will say is do not sell your Nuka-Colas to the vendor. Save them for your actual shop, because players will buy them for a higher price than whatever the vendor is going to offer you. Alright, next thing we're going to talk about is the meds. There's some meds that I really don't use and they have high payout for them, so I would look at those things like Calmex and stuff like that. No, Radex, a lot of people don't use, so that's also a really easy cap gain if you just go farm for some Radex. All right, and then we're gonna go into junk. Now, junk gets a little more complicated because there's a few things that you can do. So I'm gonna get some regular junk around so that way you guys can see the difference between raw junk, like the broken down junk, and the junk still intact, right? So the junk still intact, you can sell. If it just made out of like one glass or whatever, you can sell that stuff for a set amount of caps, right? Which is good if you're looking for like a quick few caps. That's a great way. You can just go clear out an area and just come in and sell everything to the vendor. However, I personally don't think that that's the best way to do it. I think that bulking is going to be the way to go when it comes to selling junk, and you'll only really want to sell the type of junk that is most common, so like cloth, wood, steel, stuff like that. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to your bench, like Tinker's bench, and you can bulk in there. For example, I'm going to bulk glass because it's super common. And for 15 glass and 2 plastic, I'll get 10 caps. And if I bulk multiple of them, I'll get multiple. I don't remember if Super Duper Perks works for bulking, but if it does, then you can get even more caps like that. But see, if you break down the glass, you can't sell glass by itself. You can only sell it in bulk. So that's why I suggest for players to bulk things if they have them in large quantities. So I'm gonna make 5 over here real quick, and that was 15 glass and I think like 2 plastic or something like that, and that'll give me 10 caps to that one bulk. So I have 5 of them, so that's 50 caps right there. It's small things like that that are really gonna start adding up the more you do it. Alright, and for this part, we're going to talk about your personal vendor and what to sell and what not to sell. My main rule of thumb is try to undercut it and lowball it because that's the most enticing to people price-wise. First, of course, we're going to look at ammo. I personally, honestly, run all my ammo at pretty much 1 cap. Only a few of them that go up a little bit higher. So the 2 millimeters, I think I go for 2, and then 40 millimeter, they go for 3. But majority of the bullets I just sell for 1 cap each, especially because I find them in such large stacks all the time. It's just easier to push them like that. Of course, some bullets don't sell as well as the others, so that's kind of going to be a research for you, seeing which ones you want to actually invest in and which ones you want to pass on. As for the cams, I don't sell that many cams, but I will say you can invest in a rat shield. However, farming for rat shield is very interesting, and I definitely suggest diving into it if you're a lore type person and exploration type person. Other than that, I mean, you can sell serums. People genuinely have different prices for serums, anywhere from 350 to like 1,000 or more. Your call. I lowball it most of the time, but I honestly don't even sell them that often. Food-wise, I will say that when it comes to my personal store, I sell ingredients mostly, so like spices, salt, pepper, sugar, cream, all those, and I usually sell them for 5 caps each, just because they sell like that pretty well. It's a little bit lowballing, you can go a little bit higher if you want, but like I said, I lowball things. When it comes to plants are, I think, some of the trickier ones because you have to know the value, and if you don't know the value at that point, like, you either need it or you don't, you know what I mean? So I've been through shops where I found something super cheap that's worth a lot. I've also been to shops that have really, really cheap stuff priced for a lot. So it's a hit or miss. Junk. So with junk, I do sell junk quite often, and a lot of my cheap stuff is sold for 1 cap, and then the more expensive stuff, in my opinion, what's more expensive goes up in price. Like aluminum is not really that expensive, but because I use so much of it, I like to keep it on reserve, so my price is a little bit higher for it because my demand for it is high. And so on and so forth. Like, gears, screws, all those, I put them for 5. Anything that's waste acid, waste antiseptic, stuff like that, I put up for 5. And then weapons. So weapons, I would say, are my biggest money makers. I'm not really striving to unlock all of these legendaries, like legendary skills and legendary mods, because everybody has them in abundance for sale, and I have a bunch of caps, so I'm not really crazy on that. However, I did find a niche market in the fact that I can just sell my legendaries for caps. And so what I usually do is I price them around about like 150 to 200 per star, depending what kind of weapon it is, what kind of rolls are on there. Because if rolls are special or make the weapon a lot more special, then yeah, I'm gonna increase the price a little bit. If the weapon just seems like a useless little, legendary script, then it would be priced accordingly on the lower end. Armor the same way. If it's a good piece of armor, then price it a little bit higher. If it's not, then price it a little bit lower. And what I mean by like higher or better or worse, like more important perks on it. Like if it has a bloody perk, it's a lot more in demand with a lot of people. So you'll probably want to sell that for a little bit more, and so on. Just understanding, like things like if it has plus strength, plus agility, and stuff like that. Those are perks that people might be looking for. Of course, explosive, stuff like that. Basically, just look out for the perks that are a little bit more rare to find, or you have noticed that a little bit more rare to find, and kind of price accordingly with that. So I would say that this has been the most money-making move for me, because I will just run around for like 20 minutes doing random stuff and rack up a bunch of legendaries, because legendaries lately have been dropping a lot more often than I feel like than they were before. And so it's much easier to make caps like that, because everybody is looking for weapons to scrap and attempt to learn all those mods, or they're looking for weapons to turn into script because they're running out of script, So I would say it's definitely an untapped market if you're not the kind of person who is going to sit there and scrap every weapon to attempt to get the mod. People will buy them off for you as long as you underprice them a little bit, like be reasonable with your pricing, and you will make a lot of money. If you're sitting there and charging every like the 3,000-4,000 caps, you're probably not going to get much business. People are not that desperate. But if you price them around 150-200 caps per star, then you'll be fine. But yeah, I think this will probably conclude my first video about making caps. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from it. And if you didn't learn anything, I'm sorry for wasting your time. No, I'm not sorry. No, but I appreciate y'all checking me out. I'm going to drop a lot more videos about some of the builds, some of the ways to farm things, how to have the best heavy carry build, and all that kind of good stuff. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day.